What's up, YouTube? You're tuning into The Rerun, YouTube's newest furry and retro gaming podcast, and I am Retro Coyote. So, earlier on in the week, in a short, we talked about GameStop. We talked about how they're closing more stores here in the US, and how they're, in an earlier video, we talked about how a lot of stores were starting to get in closing kits and incoming inventory manifestos on their computer. So, what I'd like to do today is offer a broader perspective. We're going to talk about GameStop in general, where they started and how they seemingly ended up here. We're going to talk about what their future probably is going to look like, and we might even speculate here and there about how they might try to save themselves or what their ultimate demise might look like. But before we get into any of that, if you enjoy the content here on this channel, then please make sure to like and subscribe. We're growing our community here every single day, and I would love to have y'all with us as we continue to grow here on YouTube, especially given the recent changes in the social media landscape. So YouTube is going to be our main channel going forward, and we are going to focus here. Obviously, we're other places like Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, so definitely give us a follow there. I'm trying to be more active throughout all of my various social medias, but YouTube is always going to be our home here on the internet. So also, if you want a shout out at this point in the video, then please check out our Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and it gets you a shout out here, as well as other perks I'm working on as well. So if you want to support the channel more directly, that's the best way to do it. Anyway, guys, GameStop. Whew. Yeah. Whenever here in the last, I want to say decade, because it really has been the last decade, anytime someone breathes a word of GameStop, it's regarding their decline. It's not anything good. They have fallen so far, and it sucks, because they are, by and large, discounting small businesses, mom and pop retro stores, that kind of thing. They are, for the most part, the one name, the big game in retail gaming sales. They sell games. They're the only people who sell games. Now, granted, you do have big box retailers like Walmart, Target, yada yada, Best Buy, and obviously they also sell games, but they are not game stores. Not like GameStop is a game store. So once GameStop is gone, as seems to be happening, it's a big question that I have what the retail gaming landscape is going to look like. Who is going to fill that void, or will that void even be filled? Nature abhors a vacuum. So we'll see. Anyway, speaking more broadly, going back to the beginning, GameStop got its start way back in, I believe the 80s or 90s. I did some research on this, but I've long since forgot it, so please don't quote me on my history. But it started way back then here in Texas as a place called Funkoland. All right. Now, a lot of my viewers probably don't remember Funkoland because you're probably too young. Well, this is your history lesson, so... Funkoland was awesome. Even I, and I'm 35, okay? According to you Gen Zers and Gen Alpha kids, I'm old, but I have very vague hints of a recollection about being in a Funkoland one time. And the only reason I remember it was because I played Tomba on a PS1 demo kiosk in there. And that's all I remember. If you prowl around retro gaming shops like I do, and you pick up old cartridge-based games, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, yada yada, you might get lucky and find one in like a little plastic cardboard sleeve. It says Funkoland on it. That's where that's from. They were GameStop before GameStop was GameStop. Later on, they were bought out by Borders, one of the bookshop Borders or Barnes and Nobles or what have you. Eventually, they became the GameStop we all know and know. And here we are. They were the big gaming retail space. There wasn't really anything like it. There still isn't anything like it, at least not at GameStop's scale. You see, at their height, they had about 6,000 stores nationwide. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. It's no Walmart, but it's not a small business either. At current count, they have since slashed that number in half. They are sitting just below 3,000 stores nationwide, according to my most recent research. Now, during that time, they've tried just about everything they can to drag themselves up out of debt, just keep their heads above water and remain profitable. A big part of this is the reason they're having trouble, obviously, is the changing gaming landscape. It's all digital distribution now. You know it. I know it. Some of us have mixed feelings about it, but it is the way it is. And, that's not going to change. Back in the day, before that was a really common thing, and mind you, this was, I'm talking about the 6th, 7th generation of gaming consoles. Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Xbox. The 6th generation, they would have midnight release parties, things like that. Halo and all that. I can't even tell you how crazy the release party for PS2 was. It was insane. But yeah, that's what it was. It was a party. It was a big social event. You went there, yes, to get your stuff, but also to hang out. I remember going to, and I've told this story before on here, going to a midnight release party with my friend Corey, who ordered the Force Unleashed for the Wii, right? And it was a party. They got pizza, there were people in Star Wars cosplays, there were lightsaber fights going on in the parking lot. It was awesome. And at midnight, everybody got their games, and they kind of trickled out the door, one or two at a time. And it was a very small GameStop location, so it was a bunch of, big sweaty gamer dudes dressed up like Star Wars. It was like a convention in a microcosm. It was beautiful. Anyway, it was a cool thing to do, and it was a reason to get up off the couch and go to GameStop. Now, since then, obviously, that's no longer the case. I can't remember the last time I saw or hell even heard about a midnight release party at a GameStop. It didn't happen. It doesn't happen. Not anymore. Now, they've tried a few things to, like I said, kind of reinvent themselves or remain relevant. One of the big things they did was they got into cell phones. They did, I believe it was Cricket for a while. They tried to get into cell phones. They had a cell phone rep right next to the GameStop rep behind the front counter. And he would try to sell you cell phones while you're buying your copy of Grand Theft Auto, whatever, right? You're like, no, you got an iPhone. It didn't work. I did jobs like that before. I used to work at the Reliant electricity stores in Walmart, up at the front, where people would go with their carts after they'd already bought everything and were leaving. It was our job to try to drag them into the store to buy our electricity. Didn't work. It doesn't work. It did not work. You can tell because they stopped doing it. A lot of GameStops will still sell, like, pre-used, used phones, refurbished mobile devices, things like that. Either in-store or on their website. They still sell the devices, but, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I could totally be wrong. To my knowledge, they don't sell service no more. Another thing they did was they teamed up with ThinkGeek. I believe they still had the same parent company, but they really upped the amount of merch, t-shirts, memorabilia, stuff that they had in stores. Toys, plushes, that kind of thing. And whenever I go to GameStop, that's most of what I buy, because I have a massive Sonic the Hedgehog collection, and I'll grab a little bit of Sonic memorabilia here and there when I stop in. They have something that is cool and I want to add to my collection. Yeah, I'll grab it, whatever. But I don't go there to shop for new games anymore. I don't even go to shop for used games anymore. Especially these days. Have you seen used Switch games? You're just about paying full price. But anyway, this isn't a Nintendo bash session. Yeah, man. And here in most recent, and I'm talking like last couple months, they started getting into retro gaming after that ship had long sailed. I went into one of those stores. Again, I made a video about it on the channel, where I went into one of them and I looked around and they didn't have hardly anything. They had Wii, 360, and PS3 games. That was their retro. Ooh, you know? Now, I get it. Those systems have been out for almost 20 years. You feel old? I do. They've been out for 20 years. Some may consider them retro, and, you know, you might be able to convince me of that on a good day. But, I mean, that's not what people are there for. They're there for the old stuff they grew up with. And, you know, Nintendo, Sega, Super Nintendo, stuff up to the 5th generation, maybe 6th generation. You know, old video games, retro stuff. Stuff before the days of online gaming becoming super common. So they've made effort after effort after effort, and nothing seems to be working. It's gotten to the point now, recent reports have come out, like I said, they're getting the closing kits in. Employees are just being told, hey, we're closing the store next week, pack everything up and get out. No notice, no heads up from leadership, no nothing. That sucks. Now, come to find out, they're closing a bunch of stores all over the U.S. I believe they're closing about 15 or so here in my home state of Texas, as I told you in that short earlier this week. That's a lot. That's a lot. And to be honest, I'll be surprised if they are still standing by the end of this year. At least in a form in which we would recognize them. I could see them trying to go into an all-online shop or trying to get a piece of the digital distribution pie, but I don't see that happening. That would require a massive restructuring of their business model, and that's money that I know for a fact GameStop doesn't have. I can see private equity firms basically doing what they do, moving into a dying company and parting it out for cash. And it sucks, because that's what happened to just about every single business store that you remember from your childhood. It happened to Toys R Us. It happened to Blockbuster. It happened to all sorts of places. And I'm willing to bet money it's gonna happen to GameStop sooner rather than later. I'd be surprised to see it last till the end of this year. I'd be even more surprised to see it last beyond 5 years before it gets just gobbled up by private equity. It's shameful that's what it has to be, but unless they're given a miracle from God, unless a genie pops out of a bottle and says, I got you, bro, bam, and turns them into a successful business, they're done. It's game over, folks. Now again, you know, anything can happen. The last couple of years have certainly shown us that. But is it likely? Hell no. I could see, once GameStop goes down, I could see mom and pop stores trying to fill that void. I can see big box retailers upping their game selection, trying to grab a piece of GameStop's, or what remains of GameStop's pie. But I really don't see anything like GameStop ever happening again. Not in our modern era of gaming. Not in the way games are bought, sold, distributed, etc. Not outside of the small business mom and pop retro store landscape. And I love those. Those stores, I wish there were more of them. But they're never going to be able to do business on a scale that GameStop does, or did. The GameStop nearest to me is going to be closing down soon. So, if you're wanting anything from GameStop, Even if it's like the shelving or the window displays or the cardboard standee display, anything, if you're wanting anything from GameStop, guys, now is the time. You know, sweet talk the guy at the counter, whatever you got to do, because I guarantee you're going to start seeing going out of business sales stickers and labels on their wall soon. And it's going to be a common sight, and you're going to see GameStops being hollowed out, and they're going to sit there empty like the Blockbusters in your neighborhood tend to do. So, yep. RIP for GameStop, I guess. And like I said, it sucks to see them go, but it is what it is. You know, they've tried everything in the book just about to save themselves, except for what made them popular in the first place. So maybe it's a fate they've earned. I don't know. Tell me your opinion down in the comments below. And like I said, if you enjoyed the content here on this channel, then please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to help us out more directly, boom! Check us out on Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and it gets you a shout out in our videos. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And hey, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.